So I'm going to talk about age differences in relationships. My previous video, I talked about modern women kind of acting like, especially older women, mid 30s, late 30s, still acting and having the mindset of a 20-year-old, and it. A lot of the problems is really with modern American women. Usually comes from first world problems. I also spoke about internet, dating apps and stuff like that. Um, and some of the pros and cons of that, what you gotta look at. So look at that video if you get an opportunity. Um, but as far as age difference goes between men and women, men my age, I'm 45 now. Um, I have noticed that a lot of younger women are interested in men more my age. Um, I have a couple of athletes. Well, no, they're not athletes, but they're young women and men that I'm associated with through the boxing program. And I was talking to one of the young ladies. She's in a relationship with a young man. She's 19. He's 19 as well. And she was complaining about things that she was looking for things in her boyfriend that won't be, you can't get that in a 19-year-old man. That comes for with men with some experience and men like myself, my age. So I had to explain to her, say, look, um, he is still a young man. What you're looking for is qualities in an older man to be in a younger man. It's not going to happen that way. It takes time, and it takes a lot of work to maintain a relationship. And as both of them grow, life experiences and traumas and different things will um, guide them into becoming and developing. And of course, brain development still happens. For men, they say everything is generalized at 25, but for men, it takes a little bit longer. It can be from 25 to like 30, 35, somewhere around there. I think for me, I felt the click when I was like around 34. But a lot of young women are looking. Why a lot of young women tend to be, for some reason, modern young women are like going for guys my age, um, is because of that maturity thing, that stability thing. Um, I am not against dating or marrying a woman 20 years younger than me. My father was 15 years older than my mother. But he passed away some years ago. But some people are against it. Some people look at the age difference or the experience levels and stuff like that. And it's usually a first world problem. It's primarily here in America. Even though there are a lot of modern young women seeking out older men for various reasons. Some looking for sugar daddies, some looking for father figures, some just act generally just like older men for whatever reason or the other. So um, it's not something I don't look at age as an issue. Um, what One of the problems though is because the United States afford a lot of men and women things that um, suggest a level of comfort that's not found anywhere else in the world. Um, the standards become unrealistically high for young men and women, and even some older women for some reason. I and because of some, and also what's affecting our young men is that they're being raised primarily by women. Because I'm encountering that on a significant scale in the boxing program. Um, that the environment or the way a man is thinking nowadays, a modern man, it's kind of, it's like behaviors conflicting with biology. Man's biology is a certain way, but the way we're thinking, if we were raised by women, is on the mindset of a woman, and there's a clash. So a lot of the young men that come into the program, the boxing program, fortunately they're around men. We have to teach them behaviors, or show them, not necessarily like sit down and lecture them about behaviors, but we show them through our example behaviors that men, boys develop to become men. Um, you know, so yes, there's some things in modern stuff where, that myself had to have adapted to because it made sense, as far as emotional empathy and things like that. It's not normal for men to be empathetic, but it doesn't mean that we can't learn it, or be aware of it. So we can apply things like that. Like one of the kids like me, did something, bump his knee, we just tell him, hey, walk it off. You know, that's a guy's approach. Um, but age different, and another thing is like some of the girls that's in the program don't really know how to interact with men. And I've recently had an encounter with a girl about 10 years old. Um, I pushed her along and said, hey, go back and hit that thing. And she took that to mean something else. So because they're not around men. So I had to I sat down with a mother when I caught on to it. I say, look, there's some issues going on that needs to be addressed here, and she need it because, there's this like hypersensitive culture about like sexuality and stuff. It's a first world problem, really, that needs to be addressed. So because I'm not a therapist, I say, look, after speaking to the mother, there was some underlying traumas that needed to be addressed. I say, look, you need to see a therapist, and I'm working on that right now to make sure that family gets that help. Because that kid could grow up and can go either way, mess with low value men that's going nowhere, high value, or get herself caught up with a high value man, stereotypical high value man, but it might be an abusive relationship because she's not fit to be in a relationship with a guy like that. And it could be an abusive either by the man or by her. So the age difference really isn't a big concern of mine. However, in my previous video I talked about messing with modern women, no matter the age, seem to have the mindset of a kid. And don't seem to give a damn about really what man is looking for in a relationship, and then they end up really being alone, or they grow up with multiple kids. So young women, young men out there, if you're looking at being involved in a relationship, there's nothing wrong really with being people your own age, but both of y'all in that relationship needs to be growing as human beings, not necessarily growing in careers, growing in those type of things. Yes, say, I mean, if you go after a career and you pursue it, you're ambitious, you're consistent, you're well educated and well informed, by all means do that and grow together. Yes, there'll be a lot of things that you got to work through, disagreements and things like that. Make sure you work on those things together. And obviously there's a level of impatience from being young that can crop up. But these are things where you need to step back and and seek counseling from older people. As far as relationship advice, you can learn from people like myself who are currently single, because they can teach you some things that went wrong with their relationship or what they see from the outside looking in. However, in my humble opinion, I think it's better to seek relationship advice from couples that's already in relationships that's working, and they can give advice on what worked for them from that perspective, because you are already in a relationship with somebody else. So it's important to really seek out advice from people who are in successful relationships, like your parents if they're still together. If Also, if your parents are not together, it's very, very important for you to get your mother's perspective and also your father's perspective. Never one side. Is like they're saying there's two sides to a coin, but it's really three sides, because a coin isn't completely, it's not two-dimensional. There's an edge, right? So I would fall on the edge. All right, you got your mother, you got your father, and someone like me, there's someone outside on the edge, or a therapist will be on the edge. Now, once you get those perspectives and you're still a little confused, you can take those perspectives and seek out advice from, not necessarily advice, but you'll go to therapy so you can help. They can give you certain tools or way of thinking to figure some of this stuff out yourself. Because really that's all therapy is. They ask you certain questions in a way where it forces you to think about a certain situation. So hopefully this video helps. Really, age really isn't an issue, but it is a problem as far as modern women in first world countries, where the mindset is that no matter what age or position especially women are in life, they expect to have the best at all times, and they're not really willing to settle, but they stay miserable long. And look, you can see it around Valentine's Day. And modern men, for some reason, they're not dealing with the bullshit too much anymore. They see it, they're kind of polite about it, but they tend to stay away. They'll use a young woman for sex, and probably have a kid and walk off, for a good time, and just go on to the next person. And usually low-level men are the ones that's like sleeping around with a different girl every week or whatever it is, moving on, because they really don't have anything else to do with their lives. They're not in college, they're not pursuing a career, they're not looking to go to getting a CDL license or getting certifications to start a career making some decent money. They're living below average lives, and below average lives gives you more time to do some of the more dangerous things in society, in relationships. And a lot of women are falling for modern girls, and some women are still falling for that stuff because they're not taught what to look for. They're living by the Disney fantasy, or some of the the romances that came out, that's been showing itself. And hence we have, especially in the black community, 1 in 4 black women getting married and staying married, and 50% of black men are staying single, because the black women, or women in general, don't want to marry them because they're not making 6 figures, 100,000 or more a year. They're making 60, they're making 50,000, maybe 45,000 a year, but that's not good enough for a lot of these women. But me being an average guy, I see myself having all my stuff together. Like most modern men living in a first world country, we're not putting up with that crap. So we'd rather stay alone, or if we do engage with you, it's a temporary thing. But for me, I had to step back from that and say, look, I am looking for a marriage, so I won't mess with that girl. If I already know, hey, that's not somebody I want to be with, I can't really be with somebody like that. So I'm not wasting her time or mine. I'm certainly not wasting my money on someone that's temporary. Women, young women, or older women, don't be looking for a free meal. Don't be on these dates and dragging things along, but you then go down the street and sleep around with the the lowest of the low, the bottom of the barrel, because for whatever reason, and expect to have a good outcome. You know. So if you have any questions, ask it in the comment section down below. I will do my best to answer those within my ability. If I don't have the information, I'll seek it out and try and give it to you, or point you in the right direction. You guys have a good day.